It's clear from the data, the global data, that things are changing rapidly. You know, over the past 10 years, flying over specific glaciers in Alaska, I've seen the change myself. We see big lakes starting to form in front of glaciers as the glaciers retreat, icebergs calving in, giant lakes with icebergs that didn't exist like 5 years ago. That's the sign that things are changing extremely rapidly and we need to study them now. Snow4Flow is a NASA project under its Earth Ventures suborbital program, and it's a very large airborne campaign to study glaciers in the Arctic. We're going to be using multiple instruments on an airplane to measure snow depth and ice thickness, and use that to better constrain their mass balance to project their behavior in the future. Glaciers are often cited as a big source of uncertainty in the climate models that project what's going to happen in the future. And so we're zooming in on the glaciers that are changing the most rapidly and that we understand the least. We currently have no sensors in space that can do these types of measurements, but you can do it from airplanes. We've established the techniques over the last several decades doing airborne surveys in Antarctica and Greenland and in Alaska, where I've done a lot of my work. So we're at Marana Regional Airport, just northwest of Tucson. It's a great little community out here. Pilots who work on their planes, build their own planes, share tools. I keep my plane here, you know, in the winter, and I often will be just doing routine maintenance on my plane, changing the oil, doing the brakes, going through an entire annual inspection where we open it up completely, we take out the seats, and I love learning all about my plane. So it's a little odd being in Arizona and studying glaciers, but we can't just live in a microcosm here in Arizona and think we can solve all of our issues here alone. We need to look elsewhere, like to the global picture, because climate is a global process.
Do we know why that's there? My guess is maybe.
So when I'm back here at University of Arizona, I'm working with my students a lot, analyzing data from the field campaigns.
And kind of in the airborne data and even in the 2023 surface data.
We also work on the instrumentation. We've developed radars to do the types of measurements we need. Hey, Doug. I developed this radar over several years, and it goes into this antenna that's very, like 30 meters long, that's towed behind the airplane. So in flight, we take off, get to our flight altitude, and then we just like spool it out a hole in the bottom of the plane and with a little drogue in the back. So this project has involved a lot of really great scientists, and Ali Barangi is one of those people. He brings expertise that we really need to tie our measurements into a bigger picture.
Satellite data from, for example, GPM type of observation.
I do a lot of precipitation estimation from satellite data and using satellite to study entire water cycle in general, but more focused on the precipitation side of that. And in recent years, I'm more interested in looking at higher latitudes, especially because of the tight connection to climate change and how rapidly they're evolving.
Prioritize where we need to fly first.
This particular mission, Snow4Flow, can provide us with unprecedented data set that we never had.
Areas of convergence
and then we also have people using completely different types of measurements, including Chris Herrig in the Department of Geosciences. And he uses primarily gravity data to look at changes in ice volume through different seasons.
From my perspective, we're a little more fuzzy on what's... So there's a couple satellite missions which measure Earth's gravity field, and they give us a really great but also broad picture of mass changing on Earth's surface. And the Snow4Flow is really a complementary kind of project to that, where it's focused on the small scales. It's focused on like individual glaciers.
Okay, so we've got these seasonal snow layers, and
we start adding a lot more detail into our modeling, and that hopefully results in a much more accurate kind of picture of how much ice is being lost and affecting sea level rise.
Pretty cool result, being able to not only map the previous season's snow accumulation. We've learned a great deal from studying certain glaciers in the past 10 years. In Alaska, one in particular is called Malaspina Glacier. Over about a 5-year period, we noticed giant pits sinking into the ground, trees falling in, and we realized there was a lot of ice under the ground in front of the glacier, and there were connections starting to be made between the ocean and the glacier. Once that happens, you get rapid melting, and it's very difficult to stop. When you see them year after year and you see these big changes, yeah, it kind of hits you like, wow, these are going away fast, and it does convey a sense of urgency to do this kind of work. Sometimes when I've been in Alaska flying, in the survey plane out over the glaciers, I just think, wow, I can't believe this is my job. I love being out there, just out flying over these remote places, seeing the big picture, and that's the only way to do it. There's really no other way to get these measurements and gain the knowledge that we want to gain. All of this information feeds into, hopefully, us improving as a society in terms of taking care of our environment, managing our resources, making a difference while we can. That's my goal, is to help make it a better place, for our kids and future generations.